Hello, we're here today with Craig Adamson of True Wealth Stewardship. Craig, welcome to Marion in Focus.
Thank you.
Yeah,
good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in your work.
Had the good fortune of kind of stumbling into some personal finance classes at Iowa State, or the Iowa State University. And unfortunately, my folks are going through a divorce, so there was some personal things. I was taking some classes to kind of help my mom through some stuff, and was actually doing quite well in those classes, and ended up transitioning away from my major into personal finance, which led to an internship at a financial planning firm. And then that opportunity brought me to Cedar Rapids to work for a large bank that had an investment department. So a couple of years there, so got some good experience, but just realized that I probably am better at working on my own than in the confines of corporate America. So about 18 years ago is when I went out on my own, and here we are today.
Those are some practical reasons as you got it. Is there a passion that you had? Because I think sometimes with numbers and things of that nature, sometimes you either have a passion for it or you don't.
I didn't know that I did, because I didn't even know this career existed prior to going to college. And it's one of those situations where you start learning about it and recognize, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and I'm a lifelong learner. And so there's plenty to learn, because the tax code changes every day. Every time Congress is in session, typically something bad is happening. So therefore that gives me job security, because people need to know, hey, what do I need to do with my IRA? How does things work with my 401k or life insurance or whatever it happens to be? So planning for some people might be boring, but for me it's really almost like story problems. Like when you go back in time and think about when you're in second, third, fourth grade and you're trying to figure out, Steve's got 4 apples and I have 2 bananas, and we're each riding in a train. One's going east at 100 miles an hour and one's going west at 40 miles an hour. And what kind of fruit salad does that make when they collide, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just really, to me, it's really interesting. It gives me the opportunity to spend time with people, one-on-one, really getting to know them. But then there's the analytical side, the geeky side of putting all the rules together, and how do I solve a problem for somebody and provide value that they didn't even know existed, or ways to save money, help their family accomplish goals that maybe they didn't know how to do or didn't know were possible before we sat down and started talking. So it's pretty neat. I kind of have the best of both worlds. New opportunities to meet people every day and interact, but then time to think and read and do math and all of that kind of stuff on the side. So,
how has the why you do what you do changed? I mean, has it grown? Has that become more of a focus for you? Because I think as we understand the why that we're doing something, it changes our perspective on how we work and how we do business.
I think so. I mean, I've always enjoyed trying to help. I don't mind rolling up my sleeves and getting involved and trying to solve problems. So that part's kind of a natural. I have plenty of opinions, and instead of me giving them away for free, this way I can get paid to do that. So I guess that's good too. I think a lot of it really, well, especially within the last 2 years. So for a long time, back in the late 1800s when I started my business, it seems like, and people still used phone books.
Right.
Adamson Financial Planning was a really great name to have, because we were first in the phone book. But now that that's kind of gone away, I don't need to be first in the alphabet. So if you kind of transition a little bit, the name True Wealth Stewardship, some friends of mine who decided we wanted to go into business together started talking about the type of work that we did for our clients and how much time and care kind of goes into developing those relationships so that we can really help them, and just the way that we get to know people. I mean, the idea of stewardship is important to all three of us, and how we would make sure that we're treating other people's money as if it was our own, so that as we're helping them make decisions, okay? And so this birth of True Wealth Stewardship came out of that, and if we had more time, there's another story I would share related to our work with a group called Empowered Wealth, and that's really, we're spending more and more and more time on the why with people, because in most cases, people's finances aren't always matched up with what they say their values are.
Right.
And sometimes it's even just exploring people's values. They have them, they've just never really expressed them or written them down or really thought about it in a, hopefully a safe context, and being able to let some of those ideas out on the table. Maybe it's the first time they've shared some things with their spouse.
Right.
And the hope is to start aligning those things, because people tend to make better decisions when their values are aligned with their finances. There's less emotional decisions that are made, and typically emotional decisions, that's a 50-50 deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can turn out great, but a lot of times they turn out terrible. And if people would have just known what was really important to them, they may not have made that choice or made that mistake, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good question that you're asking, because I think that is one way that we kind of differentiate ourselves from other advisors. There's a lot of great advisors in the area, but we feel like we spend a lot of time up front getting to know our clients and figuring out their why, and then the solutions typically present themselves.
So you've been in Marion for how long?
I moved to Cedar Rapids in 1996, bought my first house in Marion in 1998, so not quite 20 years ago now, and then was working here in Marion at an investment firm before I started out on my own in October of 2000. So Friday the 13th. That's good.
So what do you like doing? What do you like about doing business here then in Marion? I know you've served on the city council, right? You've zoning and planning commission, and now you're in the Marion chamber.
Yeah. In a way, I mean, even though Marion is quite a bit bigger, I mean, we're the 14th largest city in the state now. I grew up in a little town in western Iowa over towards the Sioux City area, and those are great towns, great places to grow up, but there are more opportunities here than sometimes places like that where I grew up. And I don't know, it's a small town, but yet it's a big town, and there's opportunities to get involved for people who are interested and motivated. I've always enjoyed civics. History and civics were favorite classes of mine, so unfortunately, Marion has been kind of put in almost like an underdog or a disadvantaged type position. So really what kind of brought this all about is my wife and I bought a house from our former mayor, John Nealand, years ago, and around that time we were battling the county. When I say we, I mean the city of Marion. We're battling the county and the city of Cedar Rapids over the expansion of the landfill north of town. And so I just happened to be going to the library that day to check out a book, found out there was a meeting. I'd kind of heard about things, stuck my nose in, found out, man, if I join this group of people, I'm about 30 years younger than everybody in the room. And it was a great group of guys and gals that were very passionate about Marion. A lot of former city council members, former mayors, business owners, people that just really, really cared. That's what I like. I like the servant mentality. I like you know what, this is important, and it's bigger than me. But if I can do a part, a bigger problem can get solved. And so got very involved with that. It was an injustice, frankly, and just really disappointing. But unfortunately, that's reality. And so what I thought was really great about, people like Charlie Kress and Ed Mulholland and Jay Cassina and Vic Kloppenstein and people like that who really care about the community. Lou Murdostel, late Charlie Kress, wonderful people, really care about their communities, their schools, all of that. And being around those people was a real joy for me, because that's the type of stuff that I care about as well. And the fact that we were able to come up with some ideas where it's not just about not having this hurt Marion, which it was going to, but what can we work on together to come up with a solution so that not only Marion wins, but the other communities win. Me getting a chance to be a part of that group got me on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then ultimately got me elected to City Council, where I served a couple of terms. You know, a lot of the progress that we see today, we were really trying to look out into the future. I really feel like one of the things, if you're going to be an effective council person, you're really representing the whole community as opposed to just a specific interest, because this is as local as politics gets. Yeah. And so it's still not going to make everybody happy, but you got to think about the future of the community, and as opposed to, well, how much is this going to directly impact my taxes today? Are we making an investment into something that's going to lead to more better things later, increase in our home values, increase in our business property values? Those things lead to higher taxes because our net worth is going up, and people kind of forget about the fact that when you invest in infrastructure, when you bring in new businesses, when you build a new library, when you build Lau Park, when you've got all kinds of stuff like that going on, hey, we're going to have a new hotel built in town, or we've got the new police station, because the new police station is out by the new business park. Medco is able to attract L-Plast and a lot of amazing Guardian building products and all these amazing companies that might not otherwise locate here. For people that want to get involved, there's opportunities, whether it's the school board, a parks board, city council, there's a chamber of commerce, there's all types of groups that need help. Just your local church board. I've got a meeting later this evening for Marion Senior Living community. They're looking for members and younger members. I mean, Marion has been fantastic about people getting involved right away and rolling up their sleeves. But we were going through this transition of people that are new to town and don't have the history of the railroad and all of that kind of stuff. And what we need to do is make sure that we're making opportunities for people who are new to the community like me, but maybe aren't as ornery or nosy or whatever, to just, hey, here's a place to get involved. If you've got energy, if you've got ideas, if you've got talents, here's a place to do that.
Talk a little bit about your role with, or your work with the Chamber. How has that benefited True Wealth Stewardship?
Well, probably even earlier on when I was first starting my business, I didn't really understand what the Chamber was or how it worked. And so the previous Chamber director was pretty welcoming, actually kind of started doing something similar to this, in the fact that the Chamber would go out and they would ask volunteers like you and I to go out and interview businesses. Hey, what could the Chamber do better? What do you like about your membership? Are you looking to expand? All of that kind of stuff. And so that was an opportunity to meet new people, get involved with the Chamber, and show other people that, you know, I'm not just a financial advisor. I'm somebody that cares about the community. I'm vested in the community. Doesn't mean if you're an advisor or an attorney or a banker or a storefront owner that, you know, if you don't get involved, it doesn't mean you don't care. But unfortunately, in a lot of communities, there's people that just go to work and that's all they do. And I feel like the business owners that aren't actively engaged in the Chamber and actively engaged in Medco might be shortchanging themselves from a vision standpoint and what their business can be. You meet a lot of great people. Those relationships turn into referrals, products and services that I need. Sometimes it's not even necessarily a referral. Hey, Craig, you got to meet so-and-so. They need a financial advisor. Does that happen? Sometimes it does. But a lot of times it's just meeting somebody like yourself that, oh, you're a business coach and a strategist and can help transform businesses. I need that, or I know somebody that does. You should go talk to them. And it opens doors. And the other thing I think it does too is, especially when you're a sole proprietor, like I am, prior to having business partners and stuff, it's a way to be engaged with people that you might not be engaged with otherwise. If you want to be connected here locally, the Chamber is I wouldn't like to say it's a no-brainer, but it really is. I mean, if you're for the inexpensive cost of being a member, the things that they can provide if you want to plug into it, I think it's a slam dunk, or whatever euphemism you want to use. I think people should be a member just because it gives them opportunities. I mean, I think I was teasing you earlier, but I think this is a perfect example. Yeah. The advertisement that's in Marion Livability. If I wasn't a chamber member and a Medco member, I wouldn't have an opportunity to do something like this. And would I normally do a lot of advertising in that way? Probably not. But at the same time, if I wasn't a chamber member, I wouldn't get an opportunity to do that. And so we're really fortunate too. The leaders, the way that Jill Ackerman's expanded the chamber since taking over, I mean, she's taken her corporate experience and really applied it directly to the community. I think you can tell a huge difference in her tenure versus previous. There's more activity, there's more connectivity. You look at the Imagine 8 project that they put forward, and now Imagine Next. Yeah. Again, I think if you're a business owner, you're missing out if you're not a member, because you're not being the best you can be, I think, as a business owner.
Well put. Yeah. Well, Craig, I appreciate your time with us here today.
Sure.
And how can folks best reach out to you and connect with you?
Well, typically, because our calendar is a little bit full, we like to have people make an appointment to come and see me, but they can certainly call the office, which is 373-4124, or they can check us out at truewealthstewardship.com.
Well, thank you again. This has been Steve Wilson with Marion in Focus. We've been here with Craig Adamson of True Wealth Stewardship, reminding you to stay focused.